I'd like to recommend to you Julian of Norwich's Revelation of Divine Love. It's in fact the earliest piece of surviving text written by a woman. We call her Julian, but we don't actually know what her name was because she lived as a hermit in the Church of St. Julian, and we know very little about her aside from what she writes in here. Her text is really full of beauty, lightness, optimism, which is extraordinary because she lived during a time of plague, short lives, tyranny, illness, and so on. And furthermore, she incarcerated herself in this little chapel where she would have had almost no human contact, but those who came to her from a window ledge to receive a word or two of wisdom or spiritual direction. The 16 revelations that she had after a near-death experience are filled with a sort of intimacy with God, and they invite us to go forward into the divine life, to kind of make a leap of faith. By the way, if you can hear snoring, it's one of my favourite members of the congregation, Rory, who's deep in dream after a long walk on this very hot day in May. Julian of Norwich's feast day is on the 8th of May in the Anglican calendar, and for me, her writings inspire me to go forward in two ways. Firstly, I think she invites us to not be worried about what other people think. Yeah, this isn't a very fashionable age to kind of be involved in matters of religion and faith. But I think her modest, poetical, kind of beautiful way, I think is an invitation to take courage. And I think the second thing she invites us to do is to kind of get over ourselves and to see that beyond is the glory of God. But we just need to put ourselves aside and allow God to come in and do something fresh. We need to kind of declutter ourselves from that addiction to sin. I said on the Friday Eucharist, I gave the comparison of an addiction. I've been enjoying Russell Brand's book. It's not for the faint-hearted, lots of F words in it, but he's very much about us reclaiming, all of us reclaiming our sense of groundedness. And I think what has always been humbling meeting people who've gone through the recovery programme is that those who have hit rock bottom are in a sense now looking up, and they have a reality. They say it as it is, and that's kind of often light and refreshing. They're very little layers. And I think Julian in her writing invites us to unpeel those layers and to put those things aside. At the service on Friday, I said I have, I gave the instance of I've got a real taste and love for chocolate, and I suppose like any addiction, there's a part of my ego that's saying, there is nothing better than chocolate. There is nothing better than chocolate. And what I need to do is to kind of reach deep and find the courage to believe that there is. And what the revelation to divine love is mapping out for us it is the sense that all of us can come close to the experiences of the spiritual life, of the fullness of life in God, that those intimate times with God and that deepening in faith and transformation is there for the taking. We just have to have the courage and the imagination to grasp it. Julian of Norwich often said, all things will be well and all manner of things will be well. And I think that's a good way to conclude this little thought for today. Thank you very much.